I'm on my way from Kingston, Jamaica to the Bahamas. It's been a lifetime dream to go there. That's Kingston. The first 4 miles are going to be downwind, and then after the Anchorage we turn around and going to do fully upwind. Before going out, I'm going to have a search. Like the Navy just stopped me, they're behind me now and they want to search my boat. There they are, waiting to board my boat. So I just tied up to their boat and now the Navy's gonna search my boat. I met them 2 days ago, let me show you. One of my patrons arrived here and they just took me out for dinner. Reggie and Jeroen, thank you guys so much for taking me out for dinner. That was really nice, I really appreciate it.
It's amazing to meet him after watching his videos for years. And all of a sudden he's right there. Unexpected, beside the boat. It's in the night, we're under the water trying to get a fishing net off of our prop. And he was there to help. Yeah. It was awesome.
Thank you guys. And thank you.
Buddy.
Navy boarded the boat, then ran their boat against my solar arch and against my wind vane. Luckily it didn't destroy anything. In 2.5 hours, 11 p.m. I'm going to leave. Reggie has given me a VHF radio. People can be, it's really amazing. Mine broke and it's been broke for a while. I've been using a handheld. And he was like, you cannot do things like this without a VHF radio. And he bought one for me. Thank you. Good morning. The first night of solo sailing, I notice that I find toughest because especially when I'm close to shore like now, I don't sleep, I want to stay awake and I get so tired in the night and I drink a lot of cola and coffee and then at a certain moment it hurts my stomach. Yeah, well, I knew it was going to be really tough to get away east under Jamaica, and it's rolly, but it's mainly just really slow. I do average 1.5–2 knots, so I definitely need longer to get away from Jamaica as I expected. Once I get away from Jamaica, then I'm going to sleep. There's so many fish spots everywhere and they're just black, you barely see them. Okay, so in this video clip I made a mistake that I've already made 1,000 times. I have put my camera on slow motion and then it doesn't record the sound. I didn't check it, so here I'm just doing a voiceover. I'm saying that the wind and the current were so strong, I'm really not moving forwards. So just before going around the tip of Jamaica, I decided to pull into an anchorage and wait for hopefully the weather to calm down. It's actually a really beautiful place here. It's actually good I made a stop here because one of these hoses decided to go leaking. So yeah, I'll replace that one. Okay, had a few hours of sleep. It's just before getting dark. Well, let's continue. We're sailing. Tack going a bit out of the direction, and I have to pay attention to all the boats. It's quite a busy shipping lane from here to through the pass between Cuba and Haiti. last night when I was motoring under the Jamaican coast to get around the point. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It was rolly like this, but then now I'm doing 3 to 5 knots, and there I was doing 1.5 knots for 10 hours up until an hour ago. And at a certain moment my steering didn't really want to work well anymore, and I was in really high revs, like almost full throttle, and the boat was just didn't really feel like it was actually going forward, and I didn't get it, and then I thought maybe something is wrong in the propeller, so I wanted to wait till daylight and check it. Got some rain on the way. Wanted to go in the water to check my propeller, but I thought I could actually just as well just stick my hand with a GoPro in the water. It's easier. I think it looked fine. There's one thing hanging on the rudder, but I don't think that affects the performance of the prop. At the time I was looking at this from a GoPro screen, which is really small. Now, a couple days later, looking at it from a laptop screen, I see it's horrible. There's so much crap around the prop. It's absolutely horrible. And what I done later, I put the boat in neutral, then in reverse, and then for a few seconds just higher the revs, and then actually it goes off. And I should have done this way earlier, and I've motored hours on end just for nothing, but oh well, it's a life lesson. Now I know it for next time. Sailing, sadly it's necessary. I filled up fuel earlier and was really calm, and then this one wave came over and a bunch of salt water came in the fuel tank. I'm like, no! So I gotta figure something out for that. Right now, I don't know, it's like half a quart of salt water on 17 gallon of diesel, or that's like half a liter water on 60 liters of diesel. I don't know if that's gonna affect me later on. I have a filter, but I don't have a raw water. I don't have a water diesel separator, but I do have a filter with like a little thing under it that I can open. Since water is heavier as fuel, I hope that this will be good enough that I occasionally open that. You might ask yourself, why are you doing this while the engine is running? Well, at that time, I thought when I open up the bottom of the fuel filter while the engine is shut off, then air will come in, and then later on when I start the engine, air will come in the engine will die, and then I have to bleed it again. We bleed the air out to start the engine again. Afterwards, looking back at it, I think that's actually not true, because when I only open the bottom, I don't think air comes in, because it will immediately, the diesel will be immediately being refilled by the pressure of the diesel tank towards the filter. But oh well, one of the many mistakes I make in my life. The Autopilot is still working. Ever since I replaced the module from there to inside the boat, it's been annoying because I have to walk inside to turn it on and turn it off. I do have remote control outside to change course, but not to turn it on and off. Yeah, so it must have been a signal disturbance from any device, iPad, iPhone, anything that was lying too close. I actually have an Android, I don't have an iPhone. But just before going in the night, I added more diesel. I filled it up again all the way in the tank, just in the hope that the little salt water that came in, that it's mixing even more and that the engine doesn't give me any problems in the night. The night was alright, pretty calm. Been half motor sailing, half motoring, and my alternator stopped charging the batteries, which is not ideal. They're 12.5 now. Yeah, well, it should be fine with the amount of solar I have that will charge it, and then I should be able to get through the night with it while running the fridge and Autopilot. If not, I guess I can turn the fridge off. I already have a new alternator, but it's in the States. I'll try to get all my spare parts in the Bahamas. I checked the alternator, the wiring is okay. The alternator itself is broken in the inside. I won't be able to fix that on the way, so I guess I'll just have to get to the next destination and try to fix it there. The catamaran that you saw in the beginning of the video from Reggie and Jeroen, they're also going to the Bahamas, same route as I do, with my small boat. I left Monday evening and they left Wednesday morning, and in a couple hours they're gonna pass me. That's just crazy how much difference there can be in speed in a small and a big boat. I did have like a 5 or 6 hour break in between. In about a mile's distance is the Catamaran, I think even less, but I don't know if you can see it. They're going to stay at the same speed, and they were like, hey, if you want to get some longer sleep, like we can look after your boat, because they're, you know, right next to me. I was like, okay. So I just slept like 1.5 hours in a row, which was really nice. Like normally I sleep 20 minutes, wake up, look around, see if everything is okay, and then another 20 minutes, and then do the same, look around, another 20 minutes. But you don't actually sleep 20 minutes. Like the first couple times of 20 minutes, like it takes a while till you fall asleep. And like at the 4th or 5th time it gets easier. So this is really nice. Got another 14 miles, so about 3 hours to go till I'm past the point between Cuba and Haiti. That's where I first passed, close to Haiti, and now between Haiti and Cuba I'm closer to Cuba. I was a little scared of Haiti because I met some people in Cuba. They were anchored off Haiti and they were boarded by 6 naked men and they took away everything. With everything I just mean including the pillows and literally everything. And it's not the first story I hear there, so I've not been too close to Haiti, but yeah, that was my a little fear I had. 3 hours and then another 70 miles. So if it goes like this, then so much more morning will arrive. We are sailing, yeah. The wind really picked up last night after we crossed between Cuba and Haiti. And yeah, doing 6 knots, it's about 6 a.m. About 3 hours should be there. Yeah. It's a gigantic mess inside the boat. Everything started flying from left to right. Normally it's more cleaned up, but now I bought too much stuff because it's more expensive in the Bahamas, so I had to leave it on the couches. And ho! I was anchoring the boat, but there was a lot of wind, and when I do a passage, meaning I'll be on the way more than a day, I really tighten the anchor chain well, so that I make sure that when I'm in the night that the anchor cannot come loose or something. And there was so much wind, I didn't have time enough to get it loose, so the wind was pushing my boat towards too close to the other boat, so I had to walk back to the steering wheel, make a circle, go back, and then continue loosening the chain and dropping it. Sailing vessel Limonada has done another successful passage, and I'm just really happy that I'm away from those first 8 months, the first 6 months building or like working on the boat and like being every time afraid and scared. I mean, like, can I do this and can I get it on time ready to it's really windy here, sorry, on time ready to leave in the cruising season. And then when we started cruising, me and Dirkje first and later me alone, it was like, that first overnight passage was so scary. And the first time later anchoring alone, and at least now I feel like 70% confident. That's really nice. I have to say, so many people on the way have helped me, like all my patrons, Keith and Ryan, who have helped me during the build and they're still bombed down with questions, just like Chris, who I crewed on his boat and I still ask him 1,000 questions a month. Yeah, travel has really taught me that some people can be really amazing. They're picking me up for some coffee. How long did it take you guys to get from Kingston to the point of Jamaica?
About 5 hours.
Maybe 5.5.
That took me 22. How long did it take your total trip?
Well, if we hadn't slowed down to idle to cruise with you for about 4 hours, we would have made it in
about 45 hours, 48
like
hours.
Less than 2 days. And it was an easy trip or not an easy trip?
This one was pretty easy.
So this is like for me, this I find this interesting to say, because you've now seen the video, and on my boat it was the half of the time it was like a struggle, like it was really tough, and the other half was really nice, but I needed 4 days to do this instead of less than 2. So it's just interesting to see what the size of a boat can have an impact on how the trip is. However, you guys went to Panama, and how was your trip from Panama here?
From Panama to Jamaica was extremely challenging. We went off in the wrong direction for a while and got into 12 to 15 foot seas.
And is it tough because it's a catamaran, or just because in general?
12 to 15 foot seas is just tough in general on any boat less than 100 feet long.
So it's not always perfect, even if you have a bigger boat. But you definitely are a lot easier in time planning and weather planning than when you're on a smaller boat and you need double or 3 times the time.